she wanna be a dentist really bad. She's in school paying for tuition, doing porn in the valley. At least you're working, but girl, I can't feel my face. What are we smoking anyway? She said don't let the high go to waste. But can you taste a little taste of Novocaine?
Frank Ocean is an American singer and songwriter who is credited as being a pioneer in the field of alternative R&B and works out of LA, I believe. He started out as a songwriter for hire. In 2011, he released a mixtape, essentially a non-profit album. And since then, he's released 2 studio albums and a visual album. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of Frank Ocean's mixtape, Nostalgia Ultra. So it's a mixtape, not technically an album, and I had to look this up. Apparently, it's a looser concept. And I also understand that he didn't make any profit out of this due to something that I'll come back to later on. It's my first encounter with it. And I think with Frank Ocean in any guise. So this is definitely R&B. Apparently it's alt R&B, alternative R&B. Who am I to argue with that? So I don't really know well enough myself. I don't know what makes it alternative. It definitely sounds like R&B to me. It's kind of poppy. It's got a mix of samples and instruments. It's got some singing in it with some auto-tune. But not overly so. I didn't find that objectionable like I do in some albums. So I found it musically acceptable, but it's not really my kind of style of thing. But for modern R&B, it's not bad. There are a lot of things that come under the title R&B that I actually find somewhat irritating. And I didn't find that this musically particularly irritating. The beats are not too tinny, which is one of the things that I object to. It does come in and out quite a bit, as in the rhythm just kind of stops and then starts and then stops and starts. And that is something that it's not too bad again on this album. There are samples used here quite a bit where there's recognisable bits from Coldplay and Radiohead and Eagles, which I'll come back to. And the tracks on the album are interlaced with interludes, which are mostly based around the conceit that this is a cassette tape, so it's got sounds of tapes being stopped, played, rewound, etc. But also with other things going on, bits of speech. There's a sample bit of a speech from Eyes Wide Shut, I believe, singing. He can sing okay, actually, pretty well. Again, it's kind of R&B style singing. There's often harmonised stuff. There's interleaving in an R&B kind of way. They tend to spend quite a lot of energy, it would seem, on getting variations in the vocals and harmonies and weaving things together. There's quite a bit of strong language, including some of the African American words that begin with N and B that seem to be quite prevalent, that are words that I, as a middle-aged white man, I couldn't use in those contexts, so I'm not really sure that they should, but I'm not actually telling anybody off. Lyrics. So this is where this album gets good, which is that the songs are interesting. There's some complex ideas and references, particularly there's references to Stanley Kubrick, kind of all over the place in some of his stuff. It's not particularly arrogant. I think that's one of the things that I tend to find difficult. It's not, the messages are not bad messages, I think, in here. But there is some interesting stuff going on. So for me, that's the strongest part of the album. So my favourite song on the album is a song called American Wedding. It's actually a really interesting song about marriage and divorce culture, and it's quite sad. Musically, it's curious because it is basically Hotel California by Eagles. I think in its entirety in the original recording, but with new words. So musically, I enjoyed it, but that's because I like Hotel California. I think maybe musically I like the original better. But this is a track that caused some problems in terms of copyright, and I can see why, because it is a wholesale use of Hotel California, and So this is how I believe he didn't make money off this album, because that was his defence in court, which was that he made no money off this track. But because of the confusion around it and complications, sometimes this makes accessibility to this mixtape difficult. They've tried to get it removed from the internet, and he's performed it live, but in a different form, I understand. And it's why I haven't used it, despite it being my favourite track on the album. So, overall, musically, it's okay. It's not really my kind of thing. Lyrically, it's quite interesting. So, which pulls it up. Otherwise, it'd be a bit kind of blah for me, I'm afraid. That's what I think of this album. Self-confessed R&B is not my thing. I've said that several times. I'd love to know what you think of the album, so please will you let me know by leaving me a comment. But that's it from me for now.
I believe Jehovah Jireh. I believe there's heaven. I believe in war. I believe a woman's temple gives her the right to choose, but baby, don't abort. I believe that marriage isn't between a